Anyone who's taken a spinning class knows that you go to this classroom, you need to bring everything you've got as far as energy and stamina, and much of the class is led by one person who has a mic on, who's doing some of the exercises with you, but essentially you're on a bike, you're pedaling, you're going to the beats of music, and you're also going to the instructor's verbal commands. Like, this is how we're going to switch up to the next exercise. It's not by chance that their soundtrack that goes with their timed exercises amps up every time you are getting ready to push as hard as you can or go all out. So when I was reading the book, The Sonic Boom by Joel Beckerman, that was the first thing I thought of, is how boom moments happen in spinning class. And they happen all over the place. We have constantly things that are telling us we need to pay attention here or there. At work, I work in a medical respiratory ICU where there's ventilators, there's machines that filter blood that aren't dialysis machines. They're CRRT machines, and every machine in the hospital has an alarm. So you can imagine healthcare providers have moments where they are constantly looking and responding to those machines and alarms. Boom moments in the hospital, unfortunately, don't typically happen unless somebody's very critically ill. One boom moment of silence that happens is when you've coded somebody, when you're trying to resuscitate somebody and you can't get them back, and finally a doctor makes a call that, we've been at this for 20 or 30 minutes. At this point, there's probably brain injury, anoxic brain injury that's happening, etc. So let's just call it quits. And then there's a moment of silence, which is a boom moment in itself. So experiences that we have definitely alter our perception of sound, just like PTSDers that come back after war. Sound, they can be very sensitive to sound. They can also just have other things that trigger their responses and things like that. Travel. I have a experience where I went to Europe a couple years ago, and I didn't have Wi-Fi, and I didn't have my data on my phone, so the only time I could listen to music is when I was on Wi-Fi. And I only had a couple songs on my Amazon cloud, so Milky Chance was my nostalgic, like, still to this day, when I'm listening to their album, I think about sitting in some of my hostels or walking down the streets of London, etc., and how that has just definitely impacted the way it just, makes me think a little bit differently. There are some in sound branding, there's definitely audio branding that's used, which is a proprietary, unique sound that company wants to use in their marketing so that people will recognize, oh, I know, this is NBC, dun, dun, dun. And then, there's other ones. Obviously, Intel has them, AT&T has them, tones or sounds that will direct our attention to know that that's what is being advertised right now. Colleen Fahey wrote kind of like a little 6-step process to making an audio brand. Just defining the current market was her first step. The second one was just to examine audio elements that competitors are using. 3, look at the brands outside of your sector that are wanting to portray the same emotion. 4 is to make touch point analysis. What sound is associated with what touch point that you're trying to market. Then get a strategist to create an audio mood board, and then take those moods and connect them and adapt them to suit the market. basically, because of time purposes, that's all I can say about the book. There's so much more, but I was limited to 5 minutes, and so that's what I'm trying to stick with. Hopefully, there's much more to come.